In this video, we are going to talk more about the graph of a straight line. For the slopes and the y-intercept shown here, we have discussed it in another video, so you may go to take a look. While for the x-intercept, the concept is very similar. If the points are on the right-hand side of the diagram, then the x-intercept should be positive. While if the points are on the left-hand side of the diagram, then it should be negative. Now we come to an example. The equation of the straight line is given, and then we are going to find the slope. For the slope, I suggest you to make y the subject. So you put the other terms to the other side, and then you can have y equals to negative 1 over 2x plus 5. For the slope, it is negative 1 over 2. In another video, we have discussed how the straight line will look like with different slopes. You can go back to take a look. And then here I would like to emphasize that if the slopes are getting larger for the positive values, then the inclination is also larger. As a summary for the positive slopes, a steeper line means a larger slope. Now comes the y-intercept part. If you have got the slope-intercept form, actually you can get the constant, and then this is already the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is 5. Or I strongly recommend you to remember to put x by 0, because this method applies to all kinds of equations. So if we substitute x by 0 from the calculation, you can see that y is 5, which means the y-intercept is 5. Similarly, for the x-intercept, you can put y by 0. This is general method, and the calculation tells you that the x-intercept is 10. After finding the x-y-intercept, we are going to discuss how to compare the magnitude of the values. For the y-intercept, the higher the point it is, the larger the value. So we don't care whether it is above or below the x-axis. While for the x-intercept, the points on the right are having a larger magnitude. Here we come to have a real practice, which you may see in the DSE problem. We have got an equation with some of the coefficients being unknown. Therefore, we need to first find the slope, y-intercept, and the x-intercept respectively. We try to do something similar as before. For the slope, we are having the slope-intercept form. So you make y the subject, and then you will know the slope immediately. You can see that the slope should be negative a. While for the y-intercept, we put x by 0, and from the calculation you have got the y-intercept being negative b. Finally, for the x-intercept, we put y by 0. We have got the x-intercept being negative b over a. Next, we need to be able to tell whether the slope, the y-intercept, and the x-intercept are positive or negative. As the straight line is inclining in this direction, from the summary above, you can see that it should be a negative slope. Therefore, negative a should be smaller than 0. And then we can deduce that a should be greater than 0. While for the y-intercept, it is much simpler. We simply need to check whether it cuts the y-axis above or below the x-axis. Here you can see the cutting point. Therefore, the y-intercept should be greater than 0, and we know b should be smaller than 0. Similarly, for the x-intercept, we check the cutting point on the x-axis. It is on the right-hand side of the y-axis. Therefore, we know that the x-intercept should be greater than 0. But since we have known the range for a and b, so therefore we don't need this inequality this time. Now we come to the second stage of the question. You will be given more information on the diagram. This time we have got some values on the xy axis. Finding the range of the slope is more complicated, therefore we may discuss it in another video. For the y-intercept, originally we find that b is smaller than 0. However, on the diagram you can see more information. We can see that the y-intercept is actually above the point 1. Therefore, we know that the y-intercept, which is negative b, should be greater than 1. And we can deduce that b is smaller than negative 1. We now try something similar for the x-intercept. From the graph, you can see that it cuts the x-axis on the left-hand side of the point 3. Therefore, for the x-intercept, which is negative b over a, it should be smaller than 3. We multiply -1 to both sides and we will get b over a is greater than -3. Finally, we multiply a to both sides. Be noted that a is greater than 0 and therefore b is greater than -3a. If a is smaller than 0, it will be more difficult and we'll discuss it later again. As a summary, you need to make full use of the information given and find all these inequalities. Hope you like this video.